The Return of Mrs. Lamp, written by Mrs. Lamp's Class 4A. It was a cold, snowy, and gray sky morning when Mrs. Lamp's Class 4A was coming to school and getting ready for another slow, tiring, and snowy day. It was 8 o'clock a.m. and Mrs. Lamp was not in the room yet.
I wonder where Mrs. Lamp is. She'll be coming, but she is always here by now. Besides, Mrs. Lamp is never late for school. Maybe we should go ask Mrs. Hunzy if she knows.
So Cassie and Brett went over to Mrs. Hunzy's class to see if she was there. Mrs. Hunzy was the only one in the room with her back towards them.
Miss Hunzy! Miss Hunzy!
Then Mrs. Hunzy turned around, but to their surprise, it wasn't Mrs. Hunzy. It was someone or something that had huge fangs, big red eyes, and pale skin.
Ah!
They both screamed as they ran back to their classroom.
Miss Hunzy's a vampire! Let's get out of here!
Alyssa screamed. And just as the class was about to leave, the lights went out. It was pitch black.
That's just what we needed.
Come on, we'll get out the back door.
So the class went outside. As soon as they were out of the building, something said in a mysterious voice they did not like.
Once the clock strikes 10, Miss Lamp will strike again.
Ah!
What now?
I just had the urge to scream.
Come on, let's get out of here and go and find Miss Lamp. You'll never find Miss Lamp, you dumb kids.
Who is that?
I don't know. So what are you waiting for? Let's go find out.
So half the class went to visit Mr. Provance in the cafeteria, and the other half went to see Mrs. Whitmore in the office. When the students arrived at the office, Alicia screamed,
Mrs. Whitmore, Mrs. Whitmore.
She turned around and played some eerie, annoying music and said,
I want to suck your blood.
So the group of students started out of the office to join the other group to search for Mr. Provance. When they arrived at the cafeteria, Bill yelled,
Look at Mr. Provance! He's a gruesome vampire!
Then Tristan, Bill, Mikey, and Tyson surrounded Mr. Provance, and Tyson snatched the teacher's schedule book. The four of them ran off into the hallway with the door slamming shut behind them. Meanwhile, the other students were trapped in the cafeteria with Mr. Provance. Then the four boys halted to a stop in the corner and glanced through the teacher's schedule book. It was blank except for a tiny note in the corner of one page that said,
Mr. Provance has all of the teachers chained up in the teacher's lounge. Signed, Miss Lamp. P.S. The door is being guarded by big, bloody vampire bats.
Hurry up, let's sneak out of here and rescue the rest of our class and the teachers.
Meanwhile, in the cafeteria, the kids were terrified. Chris slammed against Mrs. Kessel's table, and then a sign jolted up and said,
Go around the curtains into the gym.
As they arrived in the gym, they met Mr. Imoni, the green slimy ghost. He was marking on the erasable board in bloody print to run 200,000 laps across fire and do 1,000 push-ups in green slime.
You mean he actually expects us to finish all those laps and push-ups? Let's get out of here.
Out of nowhere, a note fell from the air, and it said,
Please scramble. I need you to rescue me. Signed, Miss Lamp. P.S. The teacher's lounge is beginning to get mighty sweltering. If you help me, it will become cool again.
So they all quietly snuck out of the gym and scurried like mice to the teacher's lounge. But Shaylee just remembered and said,
Remember, the door's being guarded by big, bloody vampire bats.
Then another note appeared in midair, and it said,
If you get the fire extinguisher, the bats will decease.
So Alicia and Shaylee ran excitedly and grabbed the fire extinguisher.
Maybe Tristan should terminate the bats.
No way! So why doesn't Bill eliminate the bats? Okay, I'll extinguish the bats.
So Bill picked up the fire extinguisher and said,
Here I go.
Then the mysterious voice said,
Mrs. Lamp is going to fry like bacon in 5 minutes.
Hustle, Bill!
Just as Bill was ready to spray the bats, the door of the lounge burst open. Mr. P darted out, dragging Mrs. Lamp by the hair. Miss Lamp was screaming with horrifying pain.
Ah! Let's follow him. No.
Mr. P halted to a stop and said,
Miss Bamey, capture those kids.
Shaylee and Alyssa started running. Bill was so freaked out that the fire extinguisher slipped from his hands and landed on Mrs. Bamey's toe.
Ouch! That should buy us some time.
But where did Miss Lamp and Mr. P go?
I don't know, but I found a note. Me too!
Let's read Wade's note first.
Okay, here I go.
Mr. P is transporting Miss Lamp to the library.
In 2 hours, Miss Lamp will be taped inside a Halloween book until next Halloween.
Whoa! Let's go rescue Miss Lamp.
But we have to be sneaky because Mr. P might paste Miss Lamp in a book. We need a plan.
Yeah, a big one.
I got a plan.
What?
Never mind, I forgot what I was going to say. I've got it.
Are you sure? You're not going to forget like Brett did, are you?
No, let me finish.
Okay.
Well, anyway, you know that big parachute in the gym? We could climb on the roof and down to the ceiling tiles and drop the parachute on Mr. P and all the witches at the party tonight.
How did you know that there was a party tonight?
I hid a note from you because I didn't get a chance to read it.
Oh well, but you need to get some people to crawl on the roof and down to the ceiling tiles because some weigh more than others.
How about Shaylee and Tristan?
But what about us?
Well, you can too.
Thanks.
The clock in the office chimed.
It's time.
Time for what?
Time to rescue Miss Lamp.
Oh.
Tristan, Bill, Mikey, do you have the parachute?
Yeah, we got it.
But how are we supposed to get on top of the roof and down to the ceiling tile? Well, the man that was in the building fixing the roof forgot his ladder. So we can climb up it when we need to drop the parachute on Mr. P and the witches. But how will we know it's time?
Well, I'll put a red handkerchief on the wall. When it falls, drop the parachute on them.
Okay.
They all climbed up the ladder and onto the roof. It took about 20 minutes to find the right ceiling tile square, and just as they got close to it, Dana fell through.
Are you all right, Dana? No.
And began brushing herself off.
Hurry, Dana, they're coming. Quick, over here.
Dana darted across the hallway. Suddenly, all the witches flew in on their brooms to the library.
Yikes! You almost got caught.
I never thought of it that way.
The party started and Tristan said,
That music is cool.
Yeah, cool.
Suddenly, Shaylee began screaming.
Ah! What is it? There's a gargoyle on your shoulder.
Tristan dropped the parachute.
Oh, no.
What?
Tristan, you dropped the parachute. Oh, that's just what we needed. It is. We captured Mr. P and the witches.
Then Shaylee, Tristan, and Alyssa jumped and interrogated Mr. P.
Where's Miss Lamp?
She's in this book. Quick, dump the toad feet on and she'll come out.
So Tristan and Alyssa dumped the toad feet on the book, and out Miss Lamp fell.
Miss Lamp! Miss Lamp! Are you all right?
Boy, thanks to all of you, I am okay. Who thought to use toad feet to break the spell of those wicked witches?
I did. I read it in a special book on how to break spells.
Fantastic, but what should we do with Mr. P and all those witches?
I know. Let's take and paste them into a Halloween book.
Yeah! Let's do it!
So Tristan, Bill, Mikey, and Tyson pasted them into a Halloween book entitled Mr. P the Vampire and the Wicked Witches of Kemmer Elementary. To celebrate Mrs. Lamp's return, the class threw a Halloween dance and took turns guarding the book in case someone tried to steal it.
The